Hi guys, it's David here from Beyond the Kingdoms, and I hope you're all doing really well, staying safe and healthy. Today's Foodie Friday video is the second installment in my Date Night at Disney mini-series, providing you guys with some ideas on how you can enjoy a date night at the parks, but specifically how to incorporate some good meals into it. Now this week, we're going to be focusing on Disney's Animal Kingdom, which surprisingly doesn't have a lot of table service restaurants for a date night. But I do think that this park in particular is a great place for a date night with that special someone, especially if you love going on some exotic adventures. But before I get into all of that, I want to introduce you to a pair of YouTubers as part of my Creator Spotlight series. Please meet Princess and the Bear. They are a Persian and African American couple, and they focus on a very overlooked topic at the parks. They do an extensive amount of dining reviews, but focus on the vegan options. Going vegan is definitely a new trend that the parks have been grappling with recently, and these two have done a lot of dining reviews, so they cover it very well. They've also made a few recent trips to Universal, Disney Springs, and City Walk to check out all of the new procedures in place. So if you want to see a little of what that looks like, go check them out now. I'll leave some links to their videos in the description down below, but you can easily search for Princess and the Bear on YouTube right now.
Disney's Animal Kingdom surprisingly only has 3 table service restaurants. 4 if you count Rainforest Cafe just outside the entrance. Of the 3 main restaurants, one is a character meal, one is a signature restaurant, and one is a more casual table service. Now, in my previous episode focusing on the Magic Kingdom, I told you that I would be eliminating character meals from this series for right now, just because I think it's an unfair comparison to the other table service restaurants. Not to mention the fact that character dining won't be coming back anytime soon. I've also removed signature restaurants from these episodes, despite them being the best setting for a date night really, because again, their higher price point makes the comparison a little bit unfair. Now, you may be thinking, David, that only leaves us with one option. Well, don't worry. In today's episode, I'm going to give you 3 date night scenarios, again incorporating dinner into the equation. In this case, that will mix up some really good quick service restaurants and some lounges. But most of all, I think Animal Kingdom is the most underrated park at Walt Disney World. And it can serve as an excellent backdrop for that special night in the park with your spouse, best friend, or favorite family member. So let's take a deeper look.
Now I know that going to Disney World can be really expensive. Some of you may be willing to splurge a little extra on a date night in the parks, but for those of you who want to stick to a budget, an evening in Pandora can be a great date night, both for couples and for those who date night is just with a best friend. I so wish that Disney would add a table service restaurant here because I think the bioluminescent forest is the perfect setting for a restaurant. It could be a sort of avatar version of Blue Bayou restaurant over in Disneyland or La Hacienda in Mexico at Epcot. Sadly, that doesn't exist yet. But I will say that enjoying dinner at Satu'li Canteen can be an excellent choice. To this day, it remains to be my favorite quick service restaurant in all of Walt Disney World. And if you couple it with the attractions in this land and an evening stroll through the exotic plant life, you've got yourself a great date night.
In some of my top tips videos for Animal Kingdom, I've mentioned that giving yourself a day and a half for this park could be ideal. Simply because Flight of Passage remains to be the most popular attraction in Walt Disney World, and the Fast Pass tier structure at this park is kinda tricky. That extra half day can really just be a date night, an evening exploring all the beautiful trees, watching the drum show in front of the floating mountains of Moara, and experiencing both attractions, which are currently among Disney's best. An easy way to start this Pandora-themed date night would be a ride on Navi River Journey. It's short, but it's a visual feast through the forest before meeting the Shaman of Songs. Now, after this relaxing boat ride through the forest, you can then go on Flight of Passage. Now, as you know, FastPass Plus has been eliminated for the near future. and it will be very interesting to see how that affects the standby line at attractions such as this one. But whether you're going in the near future in the standby line or making plans far off in the future and worried about scoring that fast pass, again, I say don't worry too much about this one. The line improves in the evening tremendously, and you'll get to see some stunning Disney Imagineering in that standby queue. The only thing you'll have to keep an eye on if you're doing standby Flight of Passage is how your timing will conflict with dinner. I have done a date night myself here, with dinner first, then heading into the standby line, right as the park was scheduled to close. I still stood for 90 minutes in the line before boarding, but it was enough time to let dinner digest comfortably. Which leads me to the most important part of this date night, the food.
Dinner at Satu'li Canteen is the obvious choice for date night here in Pandora. It ties into the theme beautifully and will really help those of you wanting to stick to a budget. I also think that the mobile food order service here just provides an overall relaxed experience in that you can skip the normal standby line. Now, it may not be the quietest place, but I have sometimes found that if you sit outside in the evening hours, it's not as busy and you'll get a great view of the floating mountains. Now, one of the reasons I love this quick service restaurant in general is the food. The quality is excellent. You'll see main courses like chicken and beef being cooked fresh at the grill. And you can customize your dishes here, which makes it more approachable for a wider audience. This place also offers a decent range of some wine, beer, and cocktails, which is necessary for date night. And Satu'li also offers an excellent dessert that is not too sweet, with the blueberry cream cheese mousse. Therefore, a quick and casual dinner here paired with some of Disney's best rides can be a great date night at Animal Kingdom. But if you're looking for some more thrills, take a look at our next option.
Over in the Asia section of the park, we have Yak Yeti, a great table service restaurant that gets massively overlooked. In general, almost all the dining at Animal Kingdom is great for those looking for exotic flavors. But I specifically think younger couples who consider themselves foodies and after the more intense thrill rides will enjoy a date night in this specific corner of the park. A date night in Asia can begin with Expedition Everest. If you arrive a little before sundown, you can possibly squeeze in a stroll on the Maharaja Jungle Trek, which is the quieter animal trail of the two in this park. Some of the more intimidating animals can be found here, such as the fruit bats and the tigers, which is the perfect setup for the next attraction. If date night for you is about a few scares and thrills so that you can get a little closer to that special someone, a trip on Expedition Everest can be really exciting. It's one of Disney World's most intense coasters, and the theming and backstory is excellent. If date night is with that best friend who will go on the thrill rides with you, this will also work really well. But after all of that screaming, a relaxing and delicious meal is in order, and Yak Yeti is located just a few steps away and offers a great menu.
Now, I had a date night just like this with my husband about a year ago. Now, as some of you may know, he didn't grow up on Disney quite like I did. So anytime we go to the theme parks together, I have to find ways to kind of bypass Mickey Mouse and all of that kid stuff. One of the ways we've enjoyed date night at the parks is by finding those overlooked restaurants that offer a more exotic menu. Now, we like things like Indian food, and this is why Yak Yeti worked really well for us. It has a pretty big menu covering not just Indian cuisine, but also a little bit of Chinese and Japanese. Now, don't get me wrong, it's definitely the more Americanized version of these cuisines, but outside of Epcot, I find that it's the next best thing. I also love the layout here. There are tons of little rooms with so many Disney details, and I specifically remember sitting upstairs on the second floor by some big windows overlooking the pathway underneath. And we distinctly agreed that for a brief moment, we completely forgot we were at Walt Disney World, and I mean that in a good way. It kind of reminded us of some far-off vacations that we'd taken in the past to places like Bali and Japan. Therefore, this is why I think Yak Yeti paired with some thrill rides can be an excellent date night, especially for those of you who want to keep things casual but with a fun twist.
Now, before I reveal what I think is the perfect date night at Animal Kingdom, let's take a look at what you guys said was your favorite table service restaurant for a date night at the Magic Kingdom. I think it'll come to no surprise that the #1 restaurant according to you guys across Twitter, Facebook, and comments here on YouTube is Be Our Guest. However, I will say that I was pleasantly surprised to see Skipper Canteen come in a very close second place. And according to those who voted on Twitter, Skipper Canteen was tied in second place with Liberty Tree Tavern. That was a big shocker to me.
But I wanted to point out that some of you had a really great idea, and it popped up in several places. Now I have to agree with some of you that the Magic Kingdom is not quite the best park for a date night. It can get a little too crowded, and I think we all tend to focus on just getting on those rides. Several viewers expressed that if you were really to have a date night at this park, that you would go quick service over table service. And a lot of you mentioned the same place, Pecos over in Frontierland. And I have to agree, I think it's the best quick service restaurant in all of the Magic Kingdom. And I was reminded that by the side entrance to the restaurant, there's a little quiet room that's really dark and kind of looks like a Spanish colonial square, and it can be the perfect backdrop for a date night.
Now, back to Animal Kingdom, I think if you're really looking for the most romantic evening at this park, taking in all that it has to offer, I would say do a sunset safari in Africa paired with some food at Nomad Lounge. I say Nomad Lounge over Tiffin's only because I'm excluding signature restaurants for right now. It can be a little tricky to time this one out, but if you research what time sunset will be on the day you travel, you can arrive at Kilimanjaro Safaris about 30 minutes prior to get that perfect version of the attraction. I one time managed to start the attraction with the sun just setting and getting a good look at the normal daytime animals like the giraffes. But then I got to finish the ride as things went dark, providing more activity with animals such as the lions towards the end. Experiencing Kilimanjaro Safaris at night is incredible because it becomes a totally different experience from the daytime. And after your exotic quest through Africa, you can then head on over to Discovery Island to finish the night with a cocktail at Nomad Lounge.
This is without a doubt one of my favorite lounges in all of the parks. It's definitely one of the more spacious ones, and it offers plenty of comfortable seating both indoors and out. Now, I remember getting a little worried when Pandora opened that the place would get really packed, but I'm happy to report that even though traffic has bumped up a little bit in this area, it's still a really nice and secluded place to relax and unwind. The bonus, of course, here is that you can sample some dishes from the full menu at Tiffin's. If you're a little bit worried about taking the plunge into the signature restaurant, Nomad Lounge is the perfect gateway to the restaurant, in that you can sample some light bites without committing to the full experience.
Now, you can of course substitute this with a full dinner at one of the restaurants at the nearby Animal Kingdom Lodge, just to keep the theme going. Sanaa has always been rated well among guests and still a mid-range price point. Or you can splurge at a place like Jiko, which is another signature restaurant. But if I were to truly have a romantic night with my husband at Animal Kingdom, I would enjoy a sunset safari, have some light bites at Nomad Lounge, and cap the night off with a viewing of Rivers of Light. But of course, you can cherry pick all of today's ideas into your own version of date night. But no matter what you do, date night at this park can truly be special and exciting.
So there you have it, friends, some of the best restaurants at Disney's Animal Kingdom to enjoy a date night at Disney. But I now want to know what you guys think. It's time to vote for your favorite date night scenario specifically at this park. Do you do date night in Pandora followed by a casual dinner at Satu'li Canteen? Or do you go for a more thrill-seeking date night by going on Expedition Everest followed by dinner at Yak Yeti? Or do you simply go for a more romantic getaway by enjoying a sunset safari over in Africa, followed by Nomad Lounge or Tiffin's restaurant? Vote for your favorite by leaving a comment below or reaching out to me on social media, and I'll reveal the winner next week. But before I leave you guys today, I have a little announcement. Now, twice a year, I tend to do a big Q&A episode where I answer your Walt Disney World questions. I'm planning to do my next one at the end of this month, and this time my friend Corliss, who runs your Disney Homegirl, will be joining me. Corliss was part of the Disney Parks Mom Panel in the past. She's a mother of 2 and has taken many trips to Walt Disney World and done some Disney cruises. Together, we can answer all of your questions, which you can submit by sending us an email to beyondthekingdoms@gmail.com. Just type in June Q&A in the subject line for us so that we can easily flag it.
But until next time, thank you so much for watching. Stay safe out there, and remember, if you can dream it, you can do it.